Welcome back to Women Mean Business. I'm your host, Renee Van Heel, and our guest today is Felena Hanson. She is the founder of Hera Hub, and she also has written an amazing book called Flight Club. So, Felena, thank you for being here.
Of course, my pleasure.
Tell me what Hera Hub is and what it does.
Absolutely. Hera Hub is a shared work and meeting space for female entrepreneurs. But we are much more than just space. We are a community of 350 women here in San Diego and a few smart men. And we have 3 locations up and down the coast of San Diego, and now we're expanding nationally through a licensing model. We recently opened in Washington, D.C., and we're working on a deal in Stockholm, Sweden right now as well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love it. And you have been able to impact a lot of women and bring a lot of women together.
Yes.
And I love to see that because, you know, with the name of the show, Women Mean Business, we know what can be accomplished.
Yes.
So, you know, and I thank you for doing that. But I want to go back a little bit, step back, and your journey on how you got here.
Yeah.
Because you and I think the same in the sense that everything does happen for a reason, and we grow from all our challenges. So, you know, take us back to even your first job. What was it that you did?
Well, ironically, my first way I earned money, I'll put it that way, was selling peacock feathers. I grew up in a small town on the central coast of California, and I used a resource that was in my own backyard and walked down to the corner store and made $80 at age 8. Selling peacock feathers. So
you got the entrepreneurial bug very young.
Both my parents are entrepreneurs, so it was bound to happen. My first job, so to speak, as I like to call it, out of college, was in orthodontics. I was in sales and had a few sales jobs, and then was able to transition into marketing throughout my 20s, but hit a few bumps in the road as a lot of folks have experienced, and a lot of women have experienced, this opportunity to reinvent ourselves. So I got laid off 3 times by the age of 30. 2 companies sold, 1 ran out of money, and it was at age 30 I said, gosh darn it, I need to control my own destiny, and I started my first real business, so to speak.
So, but going back, you did the conventional thing that we're taught to do, and there's nothing wrong with that, because it falls in line for some people. It never did for me. So, but what I like is that you never quit.
Yes.
You know, and you kept going to different jobs and things. And I do love your book.
Oh, thank you.
I love the journey you had. But you had a couple really life moments that happened. And I love how you grew from that. So what was probably one of the most...
the most impactful, certainly. So at age 22, I was hit by a fire truck in an intersection. They ran a red light. I broke 27 bones in my arms, legs, and face. I have titanium pretty much throughout my body, including metal plates in my face. And that is certainly an amazing opportunity to have a perspective on why we're here, what I was meant to do. It took me about 6 months to recover. I was in a wheelchair. They told me I'd never run again. I mean, you know, the significance of that was pretty impactful in my life. And so the phrase I use a lot is, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that is certainly very true of my life. So the car accident, going through 3 layoffs at the same time that I faced my 3rd layoff, I actually went through a divorce. The gentleman that was with me actually through that car accident, we you know, were young and in love and grew apart. So it was really that age 30 for me was that pinnacle moment of, okay, it is time to step into what I'm really meant to do. I didn't launch Hera Hub until about 5 years ago. I had a marketing strategy business for 8 years. And it was really that business and stepping into a leadership role with some female organizations that led to launching Hera Hub.
So I do want to take you back, though.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
I love it. You are, because you have so much to share, and that's what this show is about, is sharing your journey. But I do want to take you back, because you make it sound like, oh, no big deal. I got hit by a fire truck. I came through it. But what got you through that? I mean, I'm sure that it wasn't easy. You couldn't do it on your own.
True.
So, and another question is, were you able to ask for help?
Yes, absolutely. And I think that that part of that mantra and going through that experience has been so impactful to my current business of, whether you're starting a business or you're going through a life-threatening experience, it really is about finding community and support and people around you that are willing to help you, frankly. So yes, it was the most challenging thing I've ever been through. It really, there were times that I was scared that I wasn't going to even walk again. I have significant damage to both of my legs, and it was scary. I have to admit that, but something inside of me, maybe just lucky that I was born with a sense of optimism. There was never a time that I thought, this is it, right? It's like, just keep fighting, just keep going. And that was really I'm going to get through this. And I did. And it took time, and it was a lot of hard work. But again, I feel so much stronger because of that. And it sounds crazy to say blessed through that experience, but it really did, allow me that opportunity to have perspective and that time to self-reflect at an early age. I was only 22, to be able to say, okay, what am I really here to do? How can I really make an impact on the world?
Well, and I think taking that focus off of you, and when you go through tragedy and things like that, I know I always go back to, when I tell people we lost literally everything in the wildfires, but the blessings that have come out of it. And I was always really careful to say everything happens for a reason, because not everybody believes that.
True.
I wish they could, but hearing what you're saying, basically you took the focus off of you, and you kept looking at what am I supposed to accomplish? Where's my passion? What difference am I going to make?
Yep.
And I love with Hera Hub how it does impact a lot of lives. So tell us a little bit more about Hera Hub, and then I also want to talk about your licensing versus franchising.
Sure, absolutely. So Hera Hub gives women a platform to launch and grow their business. And as we just mentioned, find that support in that community, because starting a business is difficult. It really is, not only in the early stages, but as you grow a business, there's so many decisions to be made. And even if you have a business degree or an MBA, it doesn't mean you've learned what you need, everything you need to launch and grow a business. And so being around like-minded women, in this case, a community of folks that have maybe been in that role prior to you or down that path, that can give you feedback. So we like to say, I build the platform to give women an opportunity to share their expertise with others, to teach, to give back. It's very much a community, and it also is an opportunity for women to step up their game in business, have a professional presence, a physical workspace where they can meet clients, they can host events and workshops, and they can give back to the community. So it really is a magical place. I have to say, it is the most fun. I don't even feel like I'm working unless I'm doing accounting, I will say. But 95% of the time, I just being surrounded by these incredible women every day and watching what they're building and growing and helping each other is just so wonderful.
Well, and I know doing it on your own, we can do anything on our own.
Sure.
We put our mind to it.
But it's a heck of a lot more fun, and and you're going to get so much further. Imagine, some of the things, the struggles we go through as an entrepreneur, if you can turn to somebody and say, hey, how did you handle that? It's going to allow you to, maybe hurdle over some of those speed bumps, as we call them, and not make those same mistakes.
I know. And so I want to encourage anybody out there, any of you women that are out there owning your own business, starting it, please plug in with other people. Find groups. There's plenty out there, no matter where you are. They're all across the United States. And I'm so excited that you are now licensing. And I know, you and I have had the discussion, franchising versus licensing. And why did you choose licensing?
Yeah, so the women that are showing up on our doorstep, so to speak, that are interested in this opportunity to open a Hera Hub in their city are extremely accomplished in many cases. They've had full careers, they really have a lot to bring to the table. And so sometimes in a franchise model, it seems a bit more cookie cutter, right? And that works in a quick serve food industry where you have to make sure that things are exactly the same. In our case, it really is building the platform and allowing that woman who's leading the community to be able to showcase her expertise and skill set as well. So giving her the flexibility to implement different programming and events around what the community needs.
Love it. And you branched out to Washington, D.C., and now you're looking at Sweden.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we have about 6 other cities here in the U.S. that we're currently working on where we have active licensing candidates.
Love it. But it's so needed.
Yes,
and to have it come in and be organized for the women is what's nice. So when I'm excited, because when we come back, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk planning your flight to freedom. Perfect. And it's part of your book, and I'm so excited to share. So please stay tuned, and we're going to be talking about what do we need to do to get started in our business? What do we need to do to find what we want to do? So I'm Renee Van Heel with Women Mean Business. Welcome back to Women Mean Business. I'm Renee Van Heel, and my guest is Felena Hanson, and we're now going to talk about Felena's book, The Flight Club. And Felena, thank you so much again for being here. Tell me a little bit about how you came up with the name Hera Hub.
Yes, so Hera, or if you're in Greece, Hera, is the Greek goddess of women. And what is a bit ironic and a tie to my childhood of my first entrepreneurial venture of selling peacock feathers, which we had pet peacocks in our backyard, is I found out through the process of naming, Hera is, again, as the Greek goddess of women, was the protector of women. And her symbol was said to be, somewhat ironically, the male peacock feather, because he the eye of the peacock feather itself was representing her big, beautiful eyes as she was very watchful over women at every stage of their life, protecting and guarding them. So the irony of full circle, you know, this business that I launched and how it ties back. So if you walk into a Hera Hub, you will see lots of references to peacocks and peacock feathers, and thus really the book Flight Club is about taking flight in business, you know, taking off, so to speak. And that's, the book is really to support women who haven't quite taken flight yet and are thinking about launching a business, giving them the inspiration and the resources and wisdom to do just that.
Well, and it amazes me how many, excuse me, the millennials right now are starting their businesses. And you touched on this too, about the 50 and above.
Yes.
Also, so where did you come up with the stats and things for that? What?
Yeah, so there are several organizations that do research around entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial trends. So it is predicted by a few organizations that by the year 2020, which is just around the corner, that 60% of the knowledge-based workforce will be independent. And to the point you just made, Renee, the biggest segments of that are what we call the encorepreneur, those that perhaps had a full, you know, career span in a traditional job and they retire and they realize, I've got a long way to go here, right? Yeah. And so they're starting businesses at a very accelerated pace, as are the millennials. You see some of these students, as they graduate, they don't want to go work for the man. They don't want to sit in the gray cubicle. And so you see this kind of gig generation, as they call it, somebody 22 out of school and they maybe drive for Uber and they're starting a graphic design business and they're doing, you know, 5 other things on the side. because they want that creativity and freedom and being able to kind of write their own ticket, if you will.
Well, and that's where I think as women in business that we need to give back. Yes. We need to mentor, and to me, that's half the fun.
It is.
And yes, we've been through a lot to get where we're at. I mean, I read in here you lost 3 different spaces through negotiating to have Hera Hub in different locations. We learned from that, and I can't thank you enough for passing it down.
Yes, yeah. So prior to launching Hera Hub, I actually taught college for 8 years for fun on the side, and we do significant amounts of mentoring. So we bring in groups of students, we bring in interns, but we also work with a lot of local organizations to donate space. So oftentimes we'll use some of the events we do to raise money for an organization as well as donating the space. But we always try to wrap in that element of what can we do to give our members an opportunity to share their expertise with the next generation.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to also touch base here on planning your flight to freedom. You have 5 different things, and I think it's really important for when you're branching out on your own to take some time to figure it out. So go through some of the steps that you talk about in your book.
Yes, yeah. So the book is structured not only in my story and sharing, when I went through to become an entrepreneur, but I also highlight 6 other women who share their story of entrepreneurship and a few what we call lean out moments. Some women who have shared that moment in which they knew that they needed to launch their own business and they were ready to leave their job. But the 6 women that I profile in the book all give exercises around certain aspects of thinking through becoming an entrepreneur. So all the way from fighting the fear or facing your fears to looking at what your strengths are and how you can apply that to where the market opportunity lies, to how to vision what you want to build in your business. There are a number of things that we take the reader through to help them really craft and formulate what type of business they want to launch. And then the last part of the book, Renee, is also an online platform that I built called stepstostartup.com, and it's 17 foundational steps to launch your business. It's not about writing a business plan. There's a million pieces of content on the internet rather, about launching a business. It is really that foundational piece because I see a lot of women launch businesses and men, and they kind of bypass some of the important pieces like setting up the systems and the structure and the correct business entity and your operations and your accounting systems. They just go, and then 6 months or a year later they're kind of picking up the pieces wondering why things aren't working because they didn't lay that solid foundation first.
So what's the name?
Sure. So the platform and also the steps are included in the book is stepstostartup.com. And so the reader of the book then can utilize the website. There's videos, there's a lot of information and links and exercises on that website to guide them through that process.
What I like, what you've done, you simplified it.
Yes.
And like you say, you don't have to have an MBA to go through these steps. And so many people think, well, I don't have the education, I don't have this, I don't have that. It is a simple process to start a business. But and I agree with you in the book where you say, get a notebook.
Yes.
And you need to figure out, and these are the steps. You talk about mindset. You have to see where your mind is at. You need to you need to write down fear and say, what am I fearing? Why am I not doing this?
And that's a big one for women. I talk to many, many women who are thinking about launching a business, and there is a fear. We're taking care of families. We have so many commitments in life, and especially if you have been in the corporate world for a while and you've had some success and you've accumulated things. We talked about this before too. Really peel back and say, what do I need? What am I teaching my children about accumulation of stuff, right? Yes. And what do I really need to live a happy, fulfilled life? A lot of times it isn't the latest model of the BMW in the driveway, right?
Very true.
And so what can we do to pare things down, not think less? Our motto unofficially is go big or go home at Hera, but really, what is it really going to take to get my life in order so I can have the time and money, frankly, to launch a business.
Well, and one other thing I just want to touch on, because we are running out of time, but I think women need to really focus on their strengths also.
Yes.
You know, because we look at the negativity part and with raising a family and everything. So, you know, definitely you have to stay focused on your strengths. And that's what I love about being with other entrepreneurs, because they know that's true. So I cannot thank you enough for being here. I so look forward to digging into your book even more. So, and again, recommending it to other women entrepreneurs, because it's wonderful. So
thank
I
you.
love it. Thank you so much. So coming up, we have Linda Amaro as our next guest. She has started 5 different businesses, and she has 2 really neat nonprofits that she works with, and I look forward to having you back. This is Renee Van Heel with Women Mean Business.